life is without meaning. In the last audio, we talked about how most of us are trying to find the meaning of life outside of ourselves. But the life outside has no meaning. And so, it can be said that life is meaningless. This might seem like a very depressing outcome, but is in fact very freeing. It frees us from bondage to the outer world. Since life, or at least life the way we see it, has no meaning, it is empty, it is void, it has no purpose. It means that we are free to ignore, to reject the outer life. That doesn't mean running away from the world. It just means that whatever we do in the outer world has no meaning, and so cannot affect us. What do we mean by that? We all spend our time, our life, worried about what is going to happen, what we are going to do, if our job is going to satisfy us, if we are going to get that promotion, if we are going to find the love of our life, if we are ever going to buy that big house. But the fact is that none of these things matter. They're only concerned with the outer parts of life. And as I've said, the outer life is meaningless. It might not seem that way, especially when you're stuck in life, when you're having problems at job, your relationships aren't working out, your parents and children hate you, your boss hates you, you dread going to work every day. In such a situation, you might be thinking, damn, this life is useless. Why am I even alive? But it is important to remember in such times that while our life might seem stressful and unhappy, it really isn't, because the outer life is not our real life. We are not the body, and we are not the mind either. We are not the limited self who has to get up at 7 in the morning and go to work, and who has to worry about his weight, or who has to do his taxes. We are something much bigger. Something more beautiful, something more wonderful than this body or mind. The fact that the outer life has no meaning should not affect us in any way, because our real life is the inner life. The inner life is huge. It has its own universe, and it allows us to touch our real self, which is full of meaning. For most people, living in the outer world and thinking that it is the only world, they will not be too happy to hear that their whole life, that everything they've been running for, all the things they have been desiring, everything they want, is meaningless. But if you come to think of it, even if you accept the material world as it is, you must accept its meaninglessness, its lack of substance. You buy a new car and you are very happy, but 1 week later, the new car has become old and no longer pleases you. You buy a new phone with 1,000,000 features and spend the first week clicking buttons, but later on, it too becomes an old thing, no longer entertaining you. You get a sexy new wife or husband, and for some time, they please you, but then they, like you, become old and are no longer attractive. If you're rich, you'll probably get another wife or husband. If you're poor, you are stuck with the one you have. But even if you find another one, they still grow old. And most importantly, you grow old as well. There is no happiness in this world. There is no meaning. That is not to say this life is useless or that we should run to the forest. No. We must enjoy the life as it comes to us, as we feel it, while also accepting that ultimately nothing in this world will last. Nothing in the outer world will last. Because the real meaning of our life lies within. Once you can touch that inner being, your inner self, that's when life becomes meaningful. Our true joy, the true path to joy, our real peace, our real sense of being comes from the inside. We are all born with a hole in our heart, a deep sense of missing something. That something that is missing is our own inner self, our own being, our own God that lives inside of us, and with which we have lost contact. We are like a drop of ocean that has run away from the ocean and is now scared, or like a ray of light that has run away from the sun and now feels alone. But we are not alone. We are never alone, because the ocean always surrounds us. Because the ocean is us. We are not the drop of water. We are the ocean. We are not a ray of light, we are the sun. Because we feel incomplete within ourselves, we try to find meaning outside. And while it's true that everything is a part of us, the trees, the clouds, the sky, the sea, they're all a part of us. But while we see them separate from us, we cannot find true joy. So the next time someone tells you that life is meaningless, don't feel depressed, but be happy. Because life is so short. Everything in the outer world, in the world of form, is so short. It never lasts. It will die one day. In Japan, one of the spiritual flower is the cherry blossom. Cherry blossom only blossom for a week and then fall away. They're very beautiful, but their beauty only lasts for a week. And that is meant to show how life is. It has beauty, it has joy, it has meaning, but it is very short and can go anytime. And that's why life being meaningless is a good thing. Because if meaning was outside of us, we would lose it, like the cherry blossom trees, or like anything else in our life. But because meaning lies inside of us, because it lies in something much bigger than us, it cannot be lost. It cannot be taken from us. We can never lose it, though we can forget. We can forget the true meaning because we forget who we are. We are like schizophrenic patients who forget every day who they are and try to look for who they are in the outer world. I am this car, I am my house, I am my job, I am this father, I am a son, I am a husband, I am a wife, I am a great lover, I am an intelligent man, I am the smartest man in the company, I am the strongest man in my city, I am the most good looking person in my street. We have forgotten who we are, and like mental patients, like madmen, we are trying to remember who we are by attaching ourselves to outer forms. But these outer forms never give us joy, because one, they have no meaning in themselves, and two, they do not last. You're like a hungry people who are trying to eat stones or trying to suck stones and hoping to get some water out of them. But stones have no moisture. Stones have no calories. You cannot eat them. You cannot drink them. No matter how many times you try to suck it, a stone will not give you food. Even worse than that, we are like people who are carrying a bag full of food on our back, and we have forgotten about it, and are not trying to eat random stones on the ground and finding they don't make us happy. In fact, they make us sick. Joy is not to be found in the outer world, because the outer world has none. The world of forms, which can include beautiful people, beautiful sceneries, lakes and oceans, everything that you find lovely. Even though it looks beautiful for a time, ultimately, none of it has meaning. It only has meaning because we attach meaning to it. Everything in the outer world has no inherent meaning separate from us. We see ourselves reflected in the outer world, and we are trying to find ourselves by grasping our own shadow and wondering why we can't catch it. The outer world, or life as we know it, is empty, is devoid of meaning. Because our inner teacher wants us to look inside for meaning. There is a huge fountain of joy and happiness and peace inside of us, ready to be tapped at any time, from which we can drink at any time we want. But because we have forgotten who we are, we forget this fountain of joy inside of us and try to look for meaning in the outer world. So what do you do if you're feeling sad or depressed? Or if your life isn't going the way you wanted it to? First, accept that that's the way life is. Sometimes it is sunny, sometimes it rains, sometimes everything will go your way, sometimes nothing will go your way. Sometimes it looks like everyone is helping you. Sometimes it looks like everyone hates you. That's life. It keeps moving. It keeps twirling like a river flowing through the mountains. It has no fixed path. You cannot control it. It will not listen to you, no matter how many times you scream, no matter how many times you blame God. But God, why won't you do this for me? I've been praying for so many years. The river doesn't care. It is following its own path. The key thing to remember is, you are not a helpless leaf floating on the river. You are the river. You are something bigger. You're not a small drop of water. You're not a small branch or leaf floating on the river. You are the whole river. But just saying that is not enough. You have to realize it. And once you realize it, you are no longer scared, because you are no longer helpless. You are no longer a small, terrified drop of water trying to save itself. You are the whole ocean. You are everything. And everything cannot get hurt. So go inside and try to find meaning within, not outside. The outer world can bring you happiness, and you should enjoy it while you can. But always you must be in touch with the inner self. It is your inner self who is the real you, the one really enjoying the universe. This inner self or being cannot be hurt, does not lack anything, and only feels joy in everything. If you can touch this inner self, you will realize the meaning of life, the purpose of life. The purpose of life is not something big not something grand, but simple things like washing the dishes or taking your children for a walk. That is the meaning of life. That is the purpose of life. Because it is not you that is running your life, but something bigger than you. The you that is listening to this, that you is a limited entity, a creation that will one day die. The small you will one day die, but the big you cannot die. The small you, the one limited to the body, will never find happiness, will never find joy, will never find bliss. The small self must die in order to find its meaning in life. And trust me, real meditation does feel like dying. If you have never cried over your own death, then you haven't meditated. Meditation is dying. Dying is slowly, dying a little every day. That is meditation. But only the ego, the part of the mind that identifies with the body, only that dies. But trust me, it still feels like death. Because you know that your current personality cannot continue to exist for long. It is like seeing your own death. It is like seeing your own killer and having to accept them, even having to welcome them. Because you know that in your death lies your salvation. It is a very scary process. If you're meditating and you're only feeling joyful and happy and oh la di da, I'm so happy, then you're not meditating correctly. Meditation should bring out all your fears, your inner fears. But remember, these fears have no power over you. The power of consciousness can burn away all fear. But it can only do so if that fear comes up to be destroyed. If you keep it hidden within you, your consciousness cannot burn it away. Everything must come up to be destroyed. Only when the false self dies can the real you start living. So stop looking for meaning in the outer world. The outer world is meaningless. It is joyless. And that's a good thing. Because even if that world dies, even if you lose everything, your job, your house, your car, your wife, your children, none of it will matter. Because the real source of joy lies within you. It doesn't mean you should go looking for problems. Problems will find you. But it does mean that you must attach no meaning to them. If you lose your job, that's fine. The universe will find you another one. If your girlfriend or boyfriend dump you, that's fine. Because the universe will find you another one. The universe is full of abundance. It is full of meaning. And it is happy to help us provided we are willing to ask it for help, and provided we are willing to go inside and touch our inner being. What happens in the outer world doesn't really affect us unless we let it, unless we still identify with the outer world. So stop worrying about the outer world. It is meaningless, it is empty, it is void. It is in fact a reflection of the inner world. The outer world is a reflection of your inner world. If you fix your inner world, your outer world will also be fixed. But that's a talk for another day. Thank you for listening. Leave you with a few deep breaths. Thank you for listening, and may you find meaning in your life. Thank you. Thank you for listening. If you want a free course on how to contact your inner teacher, your own spiritual guide, the part of the divine who lives inside of you and is guiding your spiritual progress, then please go to my website, thepathtojoy.org. That is thepathtojoy.org. Thank you.